Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good wherever you are. I'm your host, That Lit Astro Chick, the channel where we discuss the natal charts of artists, authors, and anyone else that I find interesting. In honor of March being Women's History Month, I wanted to come back and do another author's natal chart before I turn my attention towards the work that actually pays me. And I'm going to start off by discussing the author Roxane Gay. I actually had an opportunity to meet her at one of the AWP conferences. It was in this bar. It was right before all of the authors were supposed to turn up and party. And if anyone has ever seen authors turn up, it usually means staring awkwardly until you wait for someone to ask about your manuscript and you're not going to shut up about it. But I saw her at this bar and she was just having a drink by herself. And I was, of course, starstruck, and I wanted to run up to her and talk about how much I loved her essay collection and just blah. But something about her demeanor just said she really just wanted to not be bothered. So I didn't say anything because I tend to be very awkward in those types of situations. So I have seen her. I've had a Roxane Gay sighting, but I was too scared to come up and talk to her. And it looks as though she's already had her natal chart read, and I want to read a snippet of that from an interview that she had before. So per her Wikipedia page, Roxane Gay is an American writer, author, professor, and social commentator. She's the author of the New York Times bestselling essay collection Bad Feminist, as well as the short story collections Ayiti and Difficult Women. She also wrote the novel An Untamed State, as well as the memoir Hunger. Gay is, or was, an assistant professor at Eastern Illinois University for 4 years before joining Purdue University as an associate professor of English. In 2018, she left Purdue to become a visiting professor at Yale University. Gay is a contributing opinion writer at the New York Times, founder of Tiny Hardcore Press, essays editor for The Rumpus, and the editor of The Gay Mag, which was founded in partnership with Medium. I did not know that she was one of the essay editors for The Rumpus because I'm actually a longtime reader for them, their fiction section. And she has had her chart read before, so per her interview with W Magazine from 2022, I'll try to link all of this. The question is, what is your zodiac sign? Do you believe in astrology? And she replies, I'm a Libra. I don't disbelieve in astrology. I don't fully understand it. But 1 year from my birthday, my wife had Shani Nichols read my chart, and most of everything she shared felt accurate. The investment in balance, enjoying the caretaking of other people, and caretaking of your space were all very resonant. I'm just not the most faithful adherent in the world simply because it's not something I know a ton about. So I went ahead and I pulled up her chart. I don't know if she will ever get my information about this, but this is just going to be an interpretation that I would have of her chart, just based very loosely on what I know about astrology. So first off, let's start off with her birthday. Roxane Gay was born on October 15th, 1974 at 7:48 a.m. in Omaha, Nebraska, United States. So the first thing that I noticed about her chart is that she is a hardcore Libra. I mean, like a hardcore Libra. Like she has a Libra stellium. She has her Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, and Pluto, and Ascendant. Those are sign of Libra. Now Libra in the sign, it represents the 10th house. Is it 10th? No, I'm sorry. It's not the 10th. It's the 7th house. It represents the 7th, which deals with partnerships. It deals with one-on-one relationships as well as marriages, contracts, strategy, ambush. It's also one of the signs of the military. Libra is a very cerebral sign, and also it's a sign that can be extremely charming because they're so susceptible to their environments, and they're very much about reading other people because it's a sign that deals a lot in terms of the management of other people. It's also a sign that does focus a lot on a representation of balance and beauty. And it's because of that influence that that Venus has at its home when it's in Venus. Another interpretation of Libra is that it also deals with having a responsibility towards other people, specifically when it comes to your partnerships. And the reason for that is because of that Saturn influence when it comes to Libra. I tend to see Libra as being one of those signs in the zodiac that is, kind of homeless. It's kind of like, if anyone has ever seen Martin, it's like Brahman from the fifth floor with like four fingers poking up, in that it tends to function very well when it's in other planets. So the first planet that is exalted in Libra is Saturn. And then the second planet that is exalted in Libra is Uranus. And she is also part of that Pluto in Libra generation. That's a generation which I think now would be referred to as being the Great Divorce, because most people that have their Pluto in Libra, when it comes to what they owe the universe karmically in terms of their present do with some type of interaction that you'll have with the legal system. And for a lot of people that were in the Pluto Libra generation, this was a generation that dealt with a lot of divorce. Another possible interaction with the legal system that people in the Pluto Libra generation would have had would have made, or like in my case, I had to file a bankruptcy. I'm also part of that Libra generation. But this would refer to the debt that is going to be owed specifically in this generation. And I would say that because she does have so much energy that is in Libra, specifically when it comes to her sun, moon, Venus, Mars, because those are all conjunct, this is going to refer to an energy that is going to be very focused on finding balance and harmony. It also can have the propensity to be very codependent, because Libra is a sign that does deal a lot in terms of making other people happy and doing things for other people. And while it might be a sign that could be very welcoming and very inviting, it can also be a sign that can run the risk of being very passive aggressive, especially when it comes to the way that they manage people, because Libra it's all about strategy. I would see it as being a sign that is represented, especially when it comes through, like for pop culture references, like the Kardashians. Bradshaw would be a quintessential Libra if you think about her behavior. It's also going to be one of those signs that would be represented by frenemies. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of her life has been taken up, especially when it comes to other people. Now, to talk specifically about the sun and the moon, because those two are conjunct, I would imagine that for Miss Gay, her parents were most likely married at the time when she was born. She may have had a household that was very much focused on the arts. Maybe her mother is somebody who may have been in very high esteem in the town that they were in. And this also could have been an environment where the importance was focused on making sure that things looked nice, especially because Libra is the sign that represents the PR. However, if it could be scratched underneath the surface, there could be a possibility of having a lot of instances where there could have been third-party situations that could have felt very physical. And I say that because she does have her Chiron in Aries, and it's running straight in opposition to her sun Mars. So there was most likely a possibility to where there could have been something in her life to where there could have been a domino effect, where it could have been possibilities to where what would have been on the surface of her home would have been to make nice, would have been to make things look very astute. However, there could have been these possible blow-ups when it comes to, especially when it comes to feelings of anger or putting yourself first. I've only read Bad Feminist, but I wonder if that's where the title of her book, Difficult Women, could possibly come through with. So that could be one possible interpretation with this sun and the moon conjunct, as well as her Mars being conjunct, and those are all at the 21st degree. So typically speaking, people that have their sun conjunct Mars, they can be people who could be very ambitious, especially when it comes to the work that they have and the work ethic that they put towards. And this would especially be true when it comes to publishing. I think that this is one of the reasons as to why Roxane Gay is so big on giving back to the literary community, why she was so successful when it comes to her books, because Libra is also the sign of publishing. And this also, if I believe correctly, would have been something where she would have needed to have focused a lot of her energy towards that, because I know that her advance for Bad Feminist, I want to say it was only about $15,000. And this this Sun-Mars conjunction would have given her the energy to really work towards that. So that's the positives when it comes to that Sun and the Mars conjunction. Moon and Mars conjunction in Libra. This would have been her mother being very influential in her household in terms of probably being the person that would help her with her writing, her books, or she may have developed a love for the arts and a love for literary or literary passions, especially when it came to her growing up. And in addition to this, this also could be she might have such a so much of a bent towards activism, because Libra is one of the signs for activism, specifically when it comes to women. So that also could be another reason as to why this is so very important to her, in particular when it comes to this lifetime. A downside when it comes to having Sun conjunct Mars as well as Venus conjunct Mars is that it can lead somebody to lean a little bit too much on that energy when it comes to resolving a conflict, because it's going to be so easy for them to tap into it. So an example of this could be, because I know that Mars is in it's not the best Mars. This would be a position to where she might try to focus more on trying to get everybody to kind of like to like all to all for one another, but unfortunately, life isn't fair. But when Mars is in Libra, when it comes to a conflict, she might be trying to focus on it more being fair. In addition to that, she also has her Mars conjunct her Uranus in Libra. So Uranus, once again, it is exalted when it's in Libra. That's one of the good positions for it to be in. And when it comes to that particular conjunction, I would say that there could have been something very unusual going on with her sex life. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if she was in an open relationship, especially because of that conjunction. Or she could have been someone where maybe she was part of an affair, or she was the third party situation in an affair. It just refers to like a rather unorthodox approach when it comes to her sex life. This also would make her someone who is very dependent on other people and on what other people say. And you may not necessarily always get the same answer out of her, because she's going to be making something look good. Now, do I think that this is something that she was always going to be very focused on, or to where she could always have like the management for it? The answer for that, I'm actually going to say, is going to be no. And the reason for that is because she has her Saturn squaring her Libra, and her Saturn is in Cancer. And Saturn is in Cancer because it's going to refer to an ongoing issue that will occur with everything that is occurring in terms of this Libra energy. So in terms of the signs, her Sun, Moon, Venus, Uranus, those all square her Cancer Saturn. So refer to karmic debt that she may have had from past lives when it comes to issues involving race, when it comes to homes, as well as when it comes to women. So this could be a life to where this go around, she has to reconcile how she feels about women, especially because of all of this Saturn, because of this Libra energy, because Libra does deal with women. And she may have had to reconcile that through a lot of very painful lessons, specifically when it comes to maybe like her home or like her family, the way that she thinks about women, just having to reconcile those, because both of those signs, they do square one another. I would say that she is somebody who I would see as being very intelligent, because she does have her Mercury, her Mercury in Scorpio, Saturn in Cancer. And with Mercury in Scorpio, this is going to be very intelligent. Someone who's going to be extremely well read, because Mercury in Scorpio is going to refer to someone who learns more from an internal process, such as reading, as opposed to Mercury in Taurus, where they learn things by doing them. Another one could be, and this is just another aspect of her chart that I noticed, is that she might perhaps maybe not feel as good with being social with other people. And I say that because she does have her Jupiter in Pisces, which is exalted. And that is forming a quincunx to all of this energy that she has in Libra. So she could possibly be somebody where maybe she could feel very awkward when she might be out and about. I definitely could quincunx that's going on. The thing is that she might have at some point in her life perhaps struggled when it comes to the ways that she sees other people, including herself, because she does have her Jupiter squaring her Neptune in Sagittarius. So this could possibly refer to maybe there being a distortion in between how she might come across or how other people might come across. However, like, it's not all doomed, because she does have her Jupiter trining her Saturn in Cancer, which would give her a lot of skepticism. In addition to that, that combination, which eventually she would be in leadership like she is right now. So I don't want this to be too long. So I want to go ahead and just discuss some of the placements that I see with her houses, as well as I'll do 2 fixed stars for this one. So Roxane Gay's North Node is in Sagittarius. And the North Node is fallen when it's in Sagittarius, because it's going to refer to someone who may have a lot of hardships in their life. Now, her North Node, it looks like, is falling into her 2nd house, and that is conjunct with her Neptune, which is also in Sag. So that means that her South Node is going to be located in her 8th house. This means that Roxane Gay may have come from many past lives where she could have been like a city girl. She could have been somebody who could have been really focused on staying in one area, possibly having a past life that is filled with a lot of transformative experiences that will be a distortion of the psyche. Translation: she could have had a very nefarious life the last time, where she could have relied a lot on other people to get things done. These most likely would have been people all in the same location, because Gemini is one of the signs that refers to cities. And what she was supposed to do this time in this lifetime, and I'd say that she definitely has achieved that, is she's supposed to learn how to be more honest, as well as how to embrace other cultures, as well as how to embrace a search for truth and an acquisition of knowledge. And she was supposed to do this by obtaining that value for herself, and that's specifically because her North Node is located within her 2nd house. So in this lifetime, she was to be blessed with having a lot of different material goods. Now, I do think it's kind of interesting, though, that her North Node is in her 2nd house, which in the zodiac is occupied by Taurus, and that's Venus. And she has a lot of energy that's represented by this Libra stellium, which is also in its home, once again, in Venus. So because she does have her North Node in her 2nd house and it's in Sagittarius, this would refer to a lifetime that is going to be focused a lot more on school and education, because Sagittarius specifically deals with professors, it deals with colleges, as well as higher education and priesthood, as well as spirituality. This is also a lifetime where she was going to be more studious, and because she does have her North Node, it looks like it's forming a it's not quite a sextile, but the signs are sextiling each other. This is going to mean that she's going to probably focus more of her energy towards women, and this will be especially because she does have that Saturn. And I do believe that this could be why she has a book called Hunger, because Cancer also deals specifically when it comes to food as well as weight. But in this particular lifetime, she was supposed to be someone who was supposed to be in seclusion from other people, specifically when it comes to her learning, as well as when it comes to her knowledge. She's not somebody that people are supposed to have a lot of access to. She's somebody who is supposed to be focusing more on obtaining for herself, as well as doing for herself. And because she has so much of this Libra energy, this is also going to mean that she's going to focus a lot of her energy on doing things for others. Now, when it comes to the houses that she has that occupies it, she does have her Saturn squaring her ascendant, but her Saturn is actually landing within her 9th house. So this could represent spending a lot of time, specifically in higher education, as well as doing a lot of learning about, as well as activism for women, because she does have that Saturn in Cancer in the 9th house. This also could represent places where she could have felt some challenges. So I know that sometimes when Saturn squares the ascendant, it's going to refer to where we might be thinking more about our families during this time. And she could have maybe focused more on what was going on with her family, as well as the way that she was raised, and exploring that when she got to college, because her 9th house does contain her Saturn in Gemini. Now, it would have taken her a while in order to obtain the success, And the reason for that is because she does have all this Libra energy that is squaring her Cancer midheaven. So Cancer in the midheaven is going to refer to most likely a career that is going to be more geared towards women, that will be more geared towards emotion, as well as an exploration of origin. And like I said before, at the beginning of this, she did have some, because like I said, she wasn't someone that had like an instant banger when she got her advance, because her advance was unfortunately so small. The last thing I want to talk about when it comes to her houses is where her house placements are. So she has a lot of energy that is stored away in her 12th house. And the 12th house is represented by Pisces in the zodiac. So it's going to represent a house that will be very creative, that's going to be very visionary, that will rely a lot on partnership as well as collaboration. It's a house that is filled with a lot of music, as well as a lot of spirituality and mysticism. She could have been somebody who could have maybe struggled a lot, especially when it came to managing her emotions as well as her feelings. And that's because she has her Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, and Pluto all located within that 12th house energy. Now, Pluto on the 12th house, it does run the risk of producing someone who could be very naive in terms of being caught up in certain scandals during certain times of their lives. She could also be someone who could focus a lot of her energy as well as her claim to fame to be from a more of a perspective we would have to be drawn into her. Like, she doesn't quite give me someone who just wants to be a loudmouth celebrity energy like some authors do. She would be somebody who I would say would be exalted into the status of an icon, because the 12th house does deal with icons, but she might have been somebody who at some point in her life could have struggled a lot with depression. She also is somebody who I could see as having a lot of options romantically, because she does have that Venus and Mars conjunct in Libra, as well as being in her 12th house. She also could have been somebody in this particular lifetime to where a lot of her energy was going to be focused more on developing the knowledge that she needed for her North Node, not just status, her North Node status in Sagittarius with the acquisition of knowledge, not just for that, but as well as acquiring that status in order to understand herself. And last, I'm going to talk about two of the she has. So one of the asteroids that she has in her chart, and I'm totally going to mispronounce it, is I'll include the title in the description box, but it's an asteroid that is usually overlooked, but it refers to the exploration of memory as well as spirituality, and that is located within her first house. So that's actually right on top of her ascendant. This would make her someone who is going to be a very spiritual person. And the last asteroid I want to discuss is the spiritual asteroid Gabriella, and that is within her 12th house. So the asteroid Gabriella is going to refer to people and where they might practice their spirituality. So there is going to be something about her that could be very secretive. What I will conclude this in saying is that I think she's a lovely person, and she is somebody where in this particular lifetime, we're not supposed to know a lot about her. So that is going to conclude my reading of Roxane Gay's chart. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and please stay tuned for the next video.